Stay tuned to the end of this video to find out about a giveaway I'm going to be doing over the next 3 weeks. Well, welcome back to part 2 of my 1-year review of our Tesla Model Y, Snow White as we call her. I made up a list of my likes and dislikes. Last week I talked about my wife's top likes and dislikes, but I made it mine and it's pretty comprehensive. You know, I thought of everything I could. I thought of this past year, things that I liked and I didn't like as I went through the year. And I made up this list. So it's comprehensive as I can get. But if you have a like or a dislike that I didn't mention, put it down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about your car if you have one. And if you don't have a Tesla, hopefully this is something that will get you off the fence to getting your own Tesla. So I did these, originally I was trying to do them in some sort of order, but it was too hard to come up with what's my favorite. I mean, there's so many things I like about this car. So in the end, I did it alphabetically. So that's how we're gonna go through this alphabetically. No real order of what I really like or don't like. So that's how the order goes. So the first thing that, actually it's the first thing that does come to mind, and it's one of the things I experienced the first day we test drove the car, is the acceleration and the speed. Having gas cars all my life, and having internal combustion engines where you hit the gas and it's got to ramp up, or it's cold weather and it doesn't go as fast. Instant torque from an electric vehicle is amazing. From getting on the freeway and being able to punch it and get up to speed immediately. I don't have the performance, so it's 0 to 60 in about 4.8 seconds, which is incredible. It's the fastest I've ever had in a car ever. Or even on the freeway, once you're on the freeway, getting around cars when you have to punch it. A couple times when we were on a road trip this year and we had those 2-lane roads, I hate passing cars. It's just not the thing I like to do because I worry about oncoming cars. I can punch it in this car and it doesn't have to wait a second to get up to speed. It immediately gets up to speed and it gets me around cars, which is amazing. I don't drive it super fast. I do drive carefully and I haven't got any tickets yet, but the acceleration and speed of this thing is amazing. Number 2, I'd have to say in alphabetical order, is the app. I have apps for my other cars. I have a GMC truck and I have an app for that. But none of the apps really compare to the app that we have for this car. And I did a separate video on the most recent version of the app, which I'll put a card somewhere up above here for you to look at. But it's amazing, all of the things you can do in the app, from setting your climate control when you're not away, turning Sentry Mode on and off, looking at your cameras when you're actually in Sentry Mode. There's so many options, so many things you can do. It really is quite amazing what they can do, and it continually evolves and it continually gets better, which is something that I love as well. Audio system, you probably don't hear it very often in my videos because I have to keep the volume down because I don't want to get copyrighted, but the audio system of this car is amazing. I have the system that came with the car, and it's amazing with, I think, 14 speakers. I'm not sure how many exactly. Comment if you know down below. The subwoofer that just hits hard. In fact, now with the new update, I can even adjust the subwoofer level. It's amazing, the audio in this car. We just have such a good time listening to music in the car. Next, automatic garage door openers. I love the fact, now granted I had to pay the $325 extra to get it installed, but I love the fact that when I pull up to my garage at the end of the day, it's opening as I'm pulling into the driveway. I love the fact that when I back up out of the driveway, it's closing when I back up out of the driveway. I think it's a cool thing to have. I love the automation, and I think it was well worth the $325. And I also did a video on that, which I'll put a link to up above. Next thing, the backup cameras. I mean, we all have backup cameras these days. It's amazing how I don't think I could back up anymore without a backup camera. Isn't that amazing how we used to never have them, but now it's a necessity. But having that backup camera is so big on the screen, also with the left and right side cameras, it's really cool. Now, the one thing I would like to have is I'd like to have the 360 view, which Elon said is coming. I haven't seen it yet, but when it comes, that'll be great as well. So the cameras around this car are amazing, and I love the backup camera. Also love the new turn signal camera. So when you're turning, it shows the blind spot, either left or right side. I think that's great as well. Taking full use of all the cameras on the car is definitely something that I think Tesla does well, and I love all those cameras. Charging speed is my next one. You know, first worry you have when you're getting an EV is how long is it going to take to charge this thing? Am I going to have to, I mean, I'm used to going to a gas station, pumping gas for 5 minutes, and I'm off. And I thought on road trips or daily driving, how long am I going to have to wait and sit for this thing to charge? At home, we charge really fast. We have the Tesla home wall charger. We plug it in at night and literally it's probably charged within an hour of when I get home. Lately I've been setting it to charge so it's ready for me to go at 6:30 in the morning when I get to take it on days I get to take it. And not only it charges, but it preconditions the car so it's ready for the right temperature. So I don't really notice any of the charging at home because it's done when I'm in the house and I don't even notice it. And the speed on the Tesla wall connector, I do have a 60 amp breaker and I have a 48 amps that it's pulling in. So it's charging usually, I mean, I've maybe used 10-15% during the day. It's usually charged under an hour, sometimes a little longer, but really fast. On road trips, we haven't had a problem at all. Road trips, the thing, usually we're doing superchargers, maybe we're at 250 V3, well, sometimes we're at a 150. There's more and more of those these days. In fact, every time I turn around, what used to be a 150 is now a 250, but it doesn't take long at all. I mean, 20-30 minutes, your car is charged and you're done. Once in a while, if we need a deeper charge into the pack, maybe we're talking 45 minutes to an hour, but that's pretty rare and in between, especially with the amount of superchargers around that I can usually charge up until that charging curve starts to taper and get it to the next stop and charge again. And when you're there, usually the time it takes to get your food, get your drink, stretch your legs, the car's done. I've tried eating multiple times when I'm out on the road, road tripping, and usually I have to move the car because by the time I get in, get my food, sit down, start eating, the car's done. So sometimes it can be annoying that it charges too fast, but charging, not a problem at all, especially with the technology they have in this car. Next thing I really like is the driver profiles. I kind of have that in my GMC truck where depending on the key fob, it will adjust the seat. But in the car, the way you can pick the driver profiles from the screen, I think is really, really handy. In the fact that it recognizes my phone when I get in the car. So if I walk up to the car and lock the car, it's automatically going to adjust the seat, it's going to adjust the mirrors, it's going to adjust the preferences, all of the preferences I have saved to my settings. So it's not just the seats and the mirrors, it's pretty much everything that I have set up that's a saved option. And there's a ton of options, I won't even go through them. But trust me, there's so many options that the car knows me, and when I get in, it's ready for me. Now the only problem is, this is my wife's car, so we have set the default setting as her setting. So when I leave in the morning, if I'm taking her car, it does default to her setting if her phone is close to the car, even if I'm getting in. So that could be sometimes an issue because I'm 6'4" and she's 5'2", so the car is gonna adjust to her, and sometimes I have to stop it quick, which is harder now with V11. I have to find control panel and go to settings and change the setting. But even then, it's something I can get around by setting easy entry. So I love the profiles and the driver settings. Next thing is the energy tracking. So one thing you might worry about when you get an EV is how far can I go before I run out of energy? How much can I do? When I have to stop now, or am I gonna run out of power on the freeway? With the system that they have in the car, as long as you've picked your destination, it's going to tell you if you can get to your destination, and if you can't, it's going to tell you where to stop and how long you're going to have to stop. In fact, if I pick a destination, say I'm going to go to Disneyland from here, which is in Southern California, I'm in Northern California, it will map out for me my entire trip, all my stops, and how long I'm going to have to stop at each stop. Obviously, this depends on how you drive, it depends on the weather, that could fluctuate, but it's going to give you a good estimation, and we found that it's pretty darn accurate, especially since once you get driving. And when you're driving, if you want to see how am I doing compared to what the car thinks, you can pull up the menu and see your trip and how you are, how your line is versus the predicted line. Whether you're doing worse or whether you're doing better. Whether you're going to make it with the destination state of charge that it told you it was going to be at or not. Or you can even look and see what is my current usage and what's my current anticipated distance that I can travel. So all of that's in the app. The car is doing it automatically as long as you pick your destination, but it's also easy to see by pressing a single button. And now with V11, I've set that as one of my presets. I can tap that and all of that information comes up. Entertainment options. Okay, so sometimes we are charging and maybe it's taking a little longer because we want a deeper charge. We don't have to worry about that. We have plenty of games. In fact, my wife loves backgammon. I think because she likes beating me at backgammon. But we also have Netflix, we have Disney Plus, we have YouTube videos we can look up. There's so many options of watching things, which we've done many times, or playing games. Even the two of us playing games, it's great. It's great to have those options if you do have to wait. Or if you're just sitting somewhere and you want to relax for a minute before you go and you want to take your mind off of the road, it's something that you could do in the car. I did talk about the different settings for the car, but one thing I didn't talk about is, again, I'm 6'4". I'm not a tall Tesla guy. That's a different channel. I'm a middle-aged Tesla guy, but I'm 6'4", and I have no problem with this car. Number one, it's higher than a Model 3, so I don't have to get down into the car. I don't have to get up to get out of the car. But the distance that I have in the car, I have the seat all the way back, tilted back slightly. I have plenty of room. And all of the road trip driving we've been doing, I've never felt cramped. I've never felt that I'm in a box. In fact, the roof is so tall over my head. We drove a couple cars when we were test driving to see if we wanted this car. One of them was a Toyota Venza, which we really liked, but I felt like I was compacted in. I felt like my head was touching the ceiling. I don't get that in this car with the settings that it allows me to do, with the size it allows me to have. Granted, when I'm in the front, my son, who's 6'3", cannot sit behind me as comfortably because I'm all the way back, but he can sit easily behind my wife and have plenty of legroom. In fact, most normal people can probably sit behind me with plenty of legroom. So the amount of space in this car is amazing for someone who's driving, especially tall people. The next thing is the glass roof. How could you not talk about this car and not talk about this glass roof? The panoramic glass roof. It's funny, when my granddaughter gets in the car, she'll just look up and stare out of it. Most people do when they get in the car. In fact, if they don't sit in the back, sometimes they don't notice the amazing panoramic view of this roof. And even though it is a panoramic glass roof, and I live in Redding where the temperature can get up to 100+ degrees in the summer, I have not had the problem with it causing a lot of heat to me because of the cooling system and because of the way the glass is. If you touch it, it can get pretty hot. But I haven't had to use the sunshades that we purchased, got one purchased and I got one sent to me. I haven't had to use those at all. I can, but I haven't had the need to. So even though it's beautiful, it gives you a view, it really doesn't get too hot where I can't handle the temperature. Speaking of temperature, heated seats in the car. I love that we have heated seats. I mean, we have that on other cars as well. Again, easily accessible from the app or from the car. Not as easy with version 11. You do have to hit a button to pull up the heated seats, but now they have automatic heated seats, which will heat the seats based on the desired temperature of the car. So if it's really cold in the car and you want the car at a certain temperature, it will warm the seats up so that way you're at a comfortable temperature, which is something that I think is great. I think it's great innovation. And not only that, but I have heated seats on all 5 seats. In our old car, the driver and the passenger had, my truck, the driver and passenger have heated seats, but anybody back, they don't get heated seats. Here, everybody gets heated seats, all 5 seats, and they're individually controlled. Next thing I want to talk about is the keyless entry and exit on the car. So we have our phones linked to the car, and when we walk away from the car automatically locks, it folds the side mirrors, and it does a little chirp so you know that the car locked. When you walk up to the car, as long as you have your key with you and you open the door handle, it will open. I don't have to unlock my car. I don't have to lock my car. In fact, the first time I drove my truck, after driving this car for a week and a half, I got to my office and I didn't put it in park because I forgot you have to put a car in park, because you don't have to with this car. If you open the door, it automatically puts the car in park. And I started walking away from the car. Well, I realized I had to put it in park, but then I forgot I have to lock the car. I have to pull my fob out and lock the car. So I love the fact that it unlocks and locks based on the card, the phone. I like the fact that I don't have to put the car in park. It does. If I open the door, it knows it needs to do that. And then everything gets shut down automatically. Literally, I can just put the car in a parking spot, open the door, everything locks, walk away, and the car locks and turns off. So I love the automation that the car has. Next thing, we did pay for the full self-driving. And so this is navigated Autopilot. Also, now we have full self-driving beta. And I love the fact that we have, let's start with navigated Autopilot. I mean, when we were in Utah, in Idaho, I missed so many freeway interchanges because I didn't have the car navigated on Autopilot. An exit would come up and I would forget to actually make the exit, make the turn off, get on the other interchange. And I could got frustrated with me a couple of times because I just wasn't paying attention as much. I was kind of looking around where we're at, trying to figure out where to go. If you put the car in navigated on Autopilot, it will automatically get you through freeway interchanges. From one freeway interchange to the next. It'll get over it in time. It will get on to the off-ramp. It'll get on to the next freeway. Now with full self-driving beta, we can do that in city streets. Now granted, full self-driving beta is still beta. Don't get me wrong. It's doing much better. Version 10.8, which I have right now, is doing amazingly well compared to earlier versions, but it is still beta. But the navigated autopilot on the freeways works amazingly well. even so far as passing cars, right? If you're driving and the car in front of you, a lot of cars have adaptive cruise control and lane centering, but this car not only has adaptive cruise control and lane centering, but it will also go around cars on its own, signal, get out, change lanes, and get back into the right lane after it's done passing, based on its sensors, based on its knowledge. So I would say that when you drive on a long road trip, you do not get as tired when you're driving a Tesla, because you have the ability to put the car and navigate on autopilot. And it really takes a lot of the mind out of driving. It allows the car to do that, allows you to relax. I get to destinations so much more refreshed, so much more energized, because I haven't had my mind thinking about feathering the brake, about making intersection changes and all of those things. The car does it, and it makes life so much easier. So driving a Tesla on a road trip is like not driving any other car on a road trip. Speaking of driving, one pedal driving. When we first got the car, we weren't sure. It was like one day of driving, and it was like, okay, wow, it's like Disneyland, right? On the car at Disneyland, you put on the pedal to go, you take your foot off the pedal to stop. Same thing with the Tesla. One pedal driving on that pedal, the gas pedal. If you pull your foot off, it immediately starts regenerative braking, which puts not only power to the back, but slows the car down. I am hard on brakes. My wife will tell you I go through brakes crazy. In fact, I probably need to get brakes on my truck right now. I anticipate the brakes in this car lasting so much longer because I hardly ever hit the brake pedal. The only time I hit the brake pedal is if someone jumps out in front of me, or if the car is maybe cold and the regenerative braking is not as good. In colder temperatures, it doesn't work as well. Other than that, I hardly ever hit the brake pedal. I got used to regen braking. My wife and I both did, probably within a day and a half, and we were fully into the regen braking. We have it set at the full regen braking, and we don't have it creeping. So when we take the foot off the gas pedal after it's stopped, the car doesn't move. So highly recommend the regen braking. And if you have a Tesla and you're not using regen braking to the full extent, I recommend it. You're gonna save your brakes, and eventually once you get used to it, in a short period of time, you're gonna fall in love with it just like we do. Preconditioning. So talking about temperature, talking about the battery, one thing that I love that the car does, if I pick a supercharger as my destination and the car battery is not to the right temperature, it will precondition the battery as I'm driving. So when I arrive at the supercharger, the battery is at the right temperature to receive the best charge that I can get. If you don't know, cold temperatures definitely affect batteries. They will not charge as fast. They don't regen brake as fast. But if the car has a supercharger set as its destination, it will begin preconditioning the car when it knows it's time to make sure that you have the right temperature in the battery, so that way you can charge at the best speed. So something, again, with the road tripping, that's just amazing. Also, I love the screen size of this car. It's much bigger than any screen I've ever had. It's not as big as the new refreshed S and X, but the fact that I can see so much of a map. Now with version 11, I can expand the visualization, driving visualization, to show so much more of what's going on around me, so I can see what the car is thinking and where the car wants to go, what the car recognizes as threats to the full self-driving. But if I want to minimize that, I have a huge 2/3 screen of a map, which I can zoom out, zoom in, and see so much on the map. I love the map. I love the maps, and I love seeing where I'm going, and I love seeing where I've been and how far I have to go. I think that's great. The seats in the car, not only are they heated, but they're so comfortable. We did get the white seats. We debated not getting the white seats. And once in a while, we do stress about the white seats a little bit. The longer I've had the car, the less I stress about the seats. But we felt that the white seats were more cushiony and comfortable than the black seats, just based on our touch. Don't know if that's true. If you think so or not, comment down below. But they are so comfortable. On the road trips we've done, we've driven super long days, and I have never gotten out of the car and said, wow, my back is killing me, or I get out of the car feeling fine. I don't have severe back issues, but with the lumbar, with the comfortness of the seats, and with the way I have my seat set up for my driver profile setting, I love them. They're the most comfortable seats ever. It's like you're sitting on a marshmallow, for me. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I love these seats. And my son has never complained sitting in the back, even on these long road trips. So very, very comfortable seats. Next thing is the Sentry Mode. I love the fact that I can have my car watching what's going on when I'm not away, when I'm not there. Now with the new app, you can actually pull up Sentry Mode footage, which I tried doing here and it didn't connect, not sure why. But you can actually see around your car when you're not with your car. You can come back if there's been a Sentry Mode event. It will show you a Sentry Mode event down below. You can open up the dash cam viewer and you can actually go back to that point in time and see what happened. Did someone ding my door? Did someone hit my car? Was someone trying to break into my car? All of that I can see on the dash cam footage. In addition to while I'm driving, if something happens, there's an accident, it will record what's happening while I'm driving. So that way I can play that back and maybe show to the police or show somebody what happened in a particular accident or a particular incident. So the fact that you have the dash cam and the Sentry Mode recording all the time. I did get a hard drive, a USB hard drive that I have in the glove box instead of the flash drive that the Tesla came with. So I have multiple gigabytes of footage that I can store. But the fact that it does all of this, it utilizes those cameras again, it's amazing. And I love that feature. I would like to see an accessibility of the dash cam footage from the phone, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that someday. I hope they do. That would be awesome if they could. Finally, the last like I came up with is storage. So we do have the Model Y, and we have so much room in this car. You may have seen in a prior video, I bought electric electric XP 2.0 step-through bike. It folds down small enough that I can put it in the back of my car with the back seats up. It will fit in the car. I haven't found a way to get both of them in there. I might be able to if I put the back seats down. I haven't tried that. But not only that, but when we went on our trip to Sacramento, we went to Bye Bye Baby for my first grandbaby with my daughter and her husband, and we got a stroller, we got a car seat, we bought a whole bunch of stuff. It all fit in this car. Utilizing the frunk, which is amazing that you have that space, the trunk, and then the two sub-trunks. In fact, my car, I love how it looks clean. My wife's car, I love how it looks clean all the time because all of those things I would have in the back of the car, like the bags for the supermarket, towels or whatnot, I all keep in the sub-trunk. So looking in the back of the car, it looks perfectly clean. Or if I'm going somewhere, I have my camera bag or my computer bag, I could stick that in the sub-trunk or the front and nobody can see what's in there and want to break in the car to steal it. So storage is super amazing in this car. Not only do we have the legroom, but the storage, it's definitely an upsell. So that's it for my likes this time. I do have some dislikes. So let's go through some of the dislikes that I have. Not a lot of them, but I thought about some of the things over the last year that I didn't like. First thing I don't like is the auto high beams. I like that we have auto high beams, but it feels like they come on and off too much. Like the car recognizes a car, it turns them off, and then it turns them on and off. I just haven't seen it come up with good timing on the auto high beams. I feel like it's flashing people a lot of times, and I don't appreciate that as a driver, so I'm not liking doing that to other people. It's necessary if you're using full self-driving beta at night. You have to have the auto high beams. It turns them on automatically so it can see the lines in the road clearly. But I still haven't found that I really enjoy the auto high beams. If I'm driving and not full self-driving, I will usually leave them off because I'll pop them on when I want to and pop them off. But false speed limit readings. That could be a problem with the car. We live in Redding and drive I-5 quite often. And I-5, the speed limit from here to Sacramento is pretty much 75 miles an hour. But after the 75 mile an hour sign, there's always a sign that says trailers, trucks towing trailers have to go 55. And if I hit the 75 sign and then hit the 55 sign, usually the car will recognize that. Not always, but usually it'll recognize it as a change in the speed limit and adjust down to the 55, which is annoying. I can set the speed up if I want, but that can be annoying sometimes. And that happened also on our road trip on the Oregon coast where it missed a sign. And so I wanted to keep it in Navigate on Autopilot, but it thought the speed limit had to be 45 and it wouldn't go, it will go 10 miles and over if you're doing Navigate on Autopilot on a non-access controlled road, not a freeway or highway. And it was Highway 101, which is not an access controlled road. So it was keeping the speed too low and everybody behind me was getting frustrated. So I had to take it out of autopilot to speed up fast enough to get to the speed limit. So that could be frustrating. I wish there was a way you could tell it, no, that's not the speed, or it could recognize the signs better. I'm not sure, something they're working, I'm sure, but that could be frustrating. The frunk, I don't have the auto front closer opener. So the frunk lid is a little flimsy. So when you push it down, you have to be really careful. I have not dinged it, but I wish it had a little more substance to it, or it's shut a little better, or maybe even Tesla coming out with its own auto opener, auto closer. So that can be a little bit of an issue. Not a huge issue, just something you have to watch out for. I do miss Apple CarPlay. The car has an amazing sound system, has amazing options, but I do wish I had the option to use Apple CarPlay in the car. Maybe that's something that'll come out. I'm hoping down the road that Tesla, now that they have apps that you can pre-program on your car, maybe they'll have the app store that they're talking about, and Apple CarPlay will be an option. I don't know if Elon's in a war with Apple and Tesla won't do it, but that would be nice to have. I do miss having that, even though I found ways around it with the car. I unfortunately don't have cooling seats. I talked about the heated seats. We don't have cooling seats, and it does get hot in Reading, and I do get sweaty in my back. I wish I had cool seats. Granted, these are white, so they don't get as hot as black seats, but I really miss having the perforated cooling seats that you get in a Model S and a Model X. I get it, it's not the high-end version. It would cost more to do that, but it would be nice to have the cooling seats in the car. And we don't have the heated steering wheel. So we got our car right after they changed the steering wheel, but we don't have the heated steering wheel as an option. I keep hoping and praying someday it will unlock. Maybe someday I'll actually take it in and see if they can put a heated steering wheel in, because we have a different steering wheel than the older version, the one that I thought had it, but doesn't have it, doesn't show up as an option. I wish I had that for colder days. In Reading, California, not as big a deal as you folks in the Midwest, but it would be nice to have that as an option, just because it's something that somebody else has and I don't have, so I'd like to have it. Phantom braking, that's the next thing. When you're in full self-driving or navigate on autopilot, there is a thing such as phantom braking, where the car will think it sees something and it needs to brake, and it can be super annoying and dangerous. A lot of times it's happened to me on navigated autopilot when I'm on the freeway. Maybe the sun is low on the horizon, there's a big truck I'm going by, and there's a big shadow from the truck. You start to get into that truck shadow, it may think it's a car, and it may brake. And if there's someone behind you, it's gonna warn them with the brake lights, but it can be dangerous. So going under overpasses has done that sometimes when it's really heavy shadow. And sometimes in your full self-driving, driving around town, it'll do it as well. So I know they're working on it on full self-driving. I think it's getting better, but that's something that I just have not liked when I'm in navigate on autopilot or full self-driving. Doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough that it bothers. Rated range display. So if you're looking in the car where the little battery icon is, we have it set to percentage, but if you click on it, it will change it to a rated range. Now, that is not the actual range the car is going to go. And I think Tesla is known for its rated range being a little higher than actual. I don't know why, most other manufacturers seem like they understate their rated range. I think Tesla overstates its rated range. So if you click on that, you see how many miles you have to go up above in the battery indicator. That's what the car is supposed to go based on the EPA estimates for the car, not based on how you're driving, not based on the weather conditions, not based on all these factors that affect range. If you want to see that, you have to go into the Energy app and you have to click on consumption, and then you can see based on the last 5, 15 or 30 miles, what your driving has been like and what the estimated range is. So that to me is so much more effective. And I don't know why they don't use that estimate up above where the battery indicator is instead of rated range. I don't know, or maybe they should just have a more reasonable rated range that would maybe more closely coincide with the actual range. So not a fan of the rated range. R is the rear window. It is small. When you get in the car, you look back there, it's pretty small. It doesn't feel like as much of a big deal, because if you need to, you can click on the cameras while you're driving and see what's behind you. You can click on the rear camera and see the whole field as a big screen on your screen. Or if you've got the turn signals, it'll show you what's on the left side and what's on the right side and the blind spots. So the cameras do get around that, but it is sometimes annoying at first when you look back there, you don't see as much as you're used to seeing. Honestly, I don't even notice it anymore. After driving 14,000, almost 15,000 miles in the car, it doesn't bother me. But when I first got in it, it did. Much like, I don't know, I think we rented a Camaro one time, it had a small window. Of course, it didn't have the camera options that this car does. But that could be a downside, but for me, now that I've had it for a year, I don't even notice it anymore. It doesn't bother me. The last thing is when the phone won't connect to the car. So it's technology, right? This is an amazing technological car, but sometimes technology doesn't work. Sometimes the car needs to be rebooted. Sometimes something happens and my phone doesn't connect, and that can be extremely annoying. I've had to, over the last year, probably reset my phone a couple of times and reconnect it. You'll come up to the car, try to open the door, and it says Sentry Mode's on, and it's warning you about the Sentry Mode because the car doesn't recognize the phone, so it won't open the car up. Now you can pull up your wallet, pull out your key card, tap your key card to the center pillar and open the car, which is what I've had to do. or you can hopefully play around with the phone and eventually it will recognize it via Bluetooth and connect. But that can be really annoying when it doesn't recognize your phone. So that's some of the things that I don't like about the car. Those are the things I like about the car. Way more things than I like that I don't like. And honestly, the things that I don't like are minor annoyances that most of them I've gotten over, I've gotten around. So love this car, can't recommend it enough. If you don't have a Tesla, get one. Save up and get one. Hopefully with the new EV tax credits coming down the road, these things will be even more affordable for everybody. Even maybe the $25,000 Tesla that Elon's talked about doing will be something that will make these cars more affordable, but highly recommend the Tesla. I love my car. If you have things you like or don't like about your car, comment down below. Let me know if I missed something. Let me know if there's something that you like or don't like that I didn't talk about. Over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be giving away one product to one person who likes, subscribes, and leaves a comment down below. I have the trash can, I have the phone holder, and I have a sunshade. I'm going to give away one each week for the next 3 weeks. So make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below, any kind of comment. You'll be entered for the drawing, and I'll give those away out every week. Thanks for watching.